Welcome back, everybody, to 3 Point Lines here on the Parlay. I'm your host, Luca Rosano, alongside my co-host, Noor, Zainab, and we are back on this Monday to break down another slate of NBA games. I'm coming into today's day, 54%, hitting them against the spread. As for Noor, how are you looking coming into this Monday?
52%, Luca. You know what? We're not doing too bad.
Not
Our
bad,
uh,
yeah.
our neighborhood betting expert Harley has told us that 52 sorry, what was it? 50% or 52% is a good place to be at. 56% is when you're an expert. So right now for our first week our first year, our first season, for the first time, I feel kind of good about our score. What about you?
Yeah, that's new to me. 56%. That's so we would be considered experts. Okay, so now we know what we got to hit. Yeah, we're not that far off. I thought we'd be
No.
doing a lot worse. I underestimated both of us. I'll be honest. But the fact of the matter is, we're over 50%, and we're past the midway point of the season. So unless it's a total collapse, like a team choking away a 3-1 series lead, we should be okay the rest of the way. But there's going to be some interesting games now because we know now the playoffs are around the corner. You're going to have teams jostling for position, but also you're going to have the underdogs trying to play spoiler. And there's actually a big spreads tonight that we're going to get to. But before that, let's look back to the weekend that was. A couple of talking points I want to get to before we talk about a couple of games from yesterday. Let's talk about the Raptors' very successful weekend. This team, I mean, you cannot figure them out. They are so strange. Last week, they lose to two of the worst teams in the NBA, with all due respect to Detroit and the Magic, who have been playing better basketball lately, but still,
Don't
two
worry about
bottom feeding
respect.
teams. And the Raptors fans were talking about tanking. And then you fast forward to a week later, Nor. They beat the Spurs on Wednesday, but then, more impressively, they beat the Suns on Friday night in Phoenix, a place where only 7 teams had won before. And then they beat the Nuggets on Saturday, the next night in Denver without Fred VanVleet. What the hell is going on with the Raptors right now?
What was that Sun stat? Only 7 teams have won there this season?
Yeah, they were ridiculous at home. They were only 7 losses all year at home for the Phoenix Suns. Yeah, the Raptors made it 8.
I don't know what it is with the Raptors. I've told you this before too. There's no way in my sane bodied mind am I going to bet on the Raptors of how they're playing right now. They can give you the best production of basketball you've ever seen, and it makes you wonder and sit there like, how is this team not contending for the championship? Or you'll sit there and be like, how are they not in the G League right now? How is this team even cooperating or operating? But you're absolutely right. We've seen production from everyone. We're pretty much turning the season around from what we were before. Right before the All-Star break, we were absolutely just abysmal. But after that, we've been turning it around. We did get hit with the injuries from Fred to OG, but these guys have absolutely just picked up the slack. It's that next man up mentality. Siakam's doing everything in Fred's absence when Fred's not there by taking the ball and running it down. Uh, Scotty Barnes, he's what, the third, fourth option on a team right now? And look at what he's doing. Look at how he's producing. And just the way that he's been able to do pretty much everything makes you so excited for his future. And then also, Precious Achua, he's been a delight, right? Like he's Masai's favorite for some reason, and for a reason, sorry. And he's going to be a very big factor in the playoffs for this team. And at this point, I think that we still are maybe just one key little piece away from being able to be a massive contender in the East, but. We're drawing that line very, very close right now. What do you think is going to happen just moving forward with the Raptors?
Yeah, it's the $1 million question. This team, my biggest takeaway for this team right now is they play to their competition, it seems. When they play a weaker opponent,
Yeah.
they look weak. When they play one of the best teams in the NBA, they look like they belong. And that's exactly what I got from those two games against the Suns and the Nuggets. They were in both of those games. They played stellar defense, championship-esque defense. They made plays, they made buckets when they needed to. And that win in Phoenix was more impressive because they did play a perfect game throughout, but then they let the door open for Phoenix to come back. But when Phoenix made that run, the Raptors were very resilient. And then, especially with 2 minutes left, they got 3 turnovers. Scotty Barnes got a key one leading to the dunk. That showed you that
Yeah.
this Raptors team can hang with the best of them. And I think that's what fans are starting to see with this unit. Are they a team that can win a championship, Most likely not, but are they a team that can get into the playoffs, the top 6 even? They're only a game back of Cleveland, and be a competitive series for one of those top seed teams? Absolutely. I mean, you look at what they've done against those top 3 seeds this season. They've beaten Miami a couple of times. They've beaten Milwaukee 3 times. They've beaten Milwaukee 5 times overall. And then you look at Philadelphia, they've actually split so far 1-1 with a matchup coming on later on this month. So this Raptors team, they belong. I think they can make any series difficult, especially when OG comes back. The size has not be an issue, especially recently with Chris Boucher doing a number on the glass. I mean, they out-rebounded the bigger Nuggets team on Saturday. So, if they can just intensify their effort on the defensive end, and that part of their game is always on, the Raptors are always going to have a chance to win. I've always said that from the start. Their defense has to be great if they want to be in these games, and their defense has been good over the last 3 wins. So we'll see if the Raptors can keep it going. I'm optimistic again. I hope these guys don't go on to lose against a weaker opponent in a couple weeks' time, or even tonight against the Lakers. I'll call the Lakers a weaker opponent. But so far it's been so good with this Raptors team.
No, I absolutely agree with you. And I think one of my biggest my biggest flaws with the Raptors was that maybe we don't really have any guys that will stop the bigger guys in the league. You know, your Giannis, your Jokic, your Embiid, guys like that. But after beating the Nuggets like that, the way that they went about it, the way that they had him pretty much go out and win the game for them if they could, but he didn't. It shows you that this is a resilient team and they can still, regardless of what the roster looks like, give anyone, no matter who it is, a run for their money. And then another game that pretty much was how we all would have feared it was going to go, a low-scoring, close game between the Mavs and the Celtics, where it was a Sunday thriller last night. You had Tatum dropping 21 points, Luca came in with 26, and Boston's defense is a story where they both were under 100 points for the night. Any thoughts on that one?
Yeah, Dallas is my dark horse in the West. I really like how Dallas is constructed. I know there was a lot of talk about they shouldn't have traded Porzingis, but that trade is looking really good for them. I mean, who hit the game-winning shot ultimately? It was Spencer Dinwiddie. Luca found him on a nice no-look pass. Dinwiddie, so composed, hits that 3. That's why they brought him in, for big-time moments like that. And that was an impressive win by Dallas. To come back the way that they did on KG's jersey ceremony where they hung his jersey, that was a statement by the Dallas Mavericks. They were down in that one. It looked like Boston was going to have another nice, comfortable win at home, but they battled back. They came back. Doncic played another great game. He got some good help. A little bit of a controversial finish at the end. I know, the Marcus Smart foul. That was debatable. It looked like there was contact, but ultimately they did not award him the foul, which would have seen him at the line for 3 free throws. But nonetheless, that was a nice win for Dallas. They were an underdog yesterday, so if you took them on the money line, you made some nice bank. Yeah, Dallas is a team you don't want to play, in my opinion, Noor, especially if they could get into that top 4. They have the offense, and more importantly, they have the defense to hang around some of the best teams in the NBA, and that was not an easy thing to do yesterday, going into Boston against a very hot Celtics team, come from behind, and beat them the way that they did. So that was really good to see from the Mavs.
For sure. There was actually a running joke happening around, or a meme, something about how the last time Paul Pierce had his jersey ceremony with the Boston Celtics, it was LeBron James who ruined it for him. And this time it was passing up the torch where Luca came through and ruined it for Kevin Garnett. So sorry, Celtics. This is how it was supposed to be. But another one was when the 76ers barely get past the Magic. The Magic took them to OT, and Philly had to escape that by 2 points, Luca. What's this team? The Raptors are confusing. Philly is confusing. What the hell's going on?
Yeah, I think you just got to give some respect to the Magic. They've been playing better lately. They beat the Raptors. They beat the T-Wolves on, Friday? I think we both took the T-Wolves to smash them, and Orlando won that game outright. That was crazy. And then, on Sunday, that would have been another huge money line win if you bet on a dog. Orlando's a good team. They're a good young team. Obviously, their record is not a representation of that, but this is a team that's got a lot of good young pieces that they can look forward to for their future. And I think last night was more of Philly just, again, doing a typical Raptors thing where they played down to their opponent. Next thing they knew, they're like, oh, shoot, we actually got to try now. We're in overtime. We don't want to lose to the Magic. But I will say this, at least Philadelphia did end up beating the Magic. The Raptors couldn't say that, so at least Philadelphia did buckle down. They relied on Embiid, they relied on Harden, and they were able to pull away with the win. But yeah, they were not a good bet in terms of against the spread. They were an overwhelming favorite. So if you did bet them against the spread, you were not a happy camper. And yeah, that just speaks to how much value there can be with some of these underdogs now. Like I said at the top of the show, trying to play spoiler. And last night was a classic case of that. Philadelphia coming in thinking they had an easy win, and Orlando was like, not so fast. You're going to have to go through us in overtime to get this win. So yeah, I was surprised it ended the way that they did, but for Philadelphia Sixers fans, at least they did get a win. And a win is a win, right?
Win is a win at this point, but you're right. Look at the Detroit Pistons, look at the Orlando Magic, look at the Kings even. Like, what's at this point, you guys know you're not making it. You're just spoiling it for the rest of us. But another one actually that caught my eyes, and I want to move on to tonight's slate as soon as possible, but I want to ask your opinion on this. And I think this is pretty much just the topic in the NBA right now, where we saw the Nets take on the New York Knicks last night. Yeah. My bad. Yes, the New York Knicks last night. The Nets won that by 3 points. You also saw Kyrie Irving sitting in the stands behind the bench and not being able to play on the court. What's your take about the fact that he's able to be in the stands, but he's not able to play with his team on the court or even go and dap up his teammates as they're coming off the bench? Like, what does that even mean? How does that even make any sense?
Yeah, you want me to get all political on the show? You're trying to get me canceled, Noor. I know your game plan here. But no, my takeaway from that was it didn't make sense at all. It didn't make sense that Kyrie was literally courtside and he wasn't able to play in the actual game, even though he's not vaccinated. But I didn't like the way that Kevin Durant called out certain people who are in better positions to make good decisions about this whole pandemic. And Michael Wilbon, he actually went on a rant afterwards on the in the halftime show, and I thought he perfectly summarized a lot of people's opinion. For Durant, knowing what he knows, seeing what this pandemic has done to so many people, to kind of take a shot like that at health officials that obviously know more than all of us, that wasn't the right way to do it. But I understand where he was coming from. It's just how he went about it. That's kind of where I drew the line. But yeah, it is frustrating from a fan standpoint. A player standpoint. I can only imagine what the team is thinking when they have their player literally behind them and he can't play in the game. So it's just one of those things that you don't have any answers to. You kind of just got to oblige to what is put in place. And hopefully for the Nets' sake, they can hurry up and uplift that rule and they can have Kyrie Irving back at home games, which for them is it appears to be soon, but who knows? Maybe after Kevin Durant took that shot, they might just do it out of pity. Like, oh, so you're going to take shots at us? Okay, you know what? On second thought, Kyrie's not allowed to play the rest of the season. So, yeah, I think KD went about it the wrong way, but I understand what he meant by it. He just said it wrong, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think this is a line that and a conversation that you have to tiptoe across very carefully, knowing that this is still an ongoing pandemic. There are people's lives that have been affected by this, and we can't look at our privilege and just worry about the sport of basketball. Same as these athletes, right? And absolutely, you're right. Where like Kevin Durant was not. There's a way to go about it, a way to phrase yourself, a way to make your frustrations be heard, and it doesn't do you any good by taking it out on the wrong people. But in the way of just the actual play of basketball and the way that rules are implemented, it just doesn't make much sense from looking at, even as an outsider, to be like, well, he's allowed to be in the stands, but is Corona like, wait a second, has he crossed the line yet? Now you can go charge at him. He hasn't. Okay, never mind. We can leave him alone. So it's things like that where it's like, how much sense does it really make? But we also have to be super careful with again, this is still an ongoing pandemic, and we have to be super mindful of the fact that this affects lives every single day. But we do have a 9-game slate tonight. I didn't touch on the Lakers because I am sure we will touch on the Lakers tonight, Luca, as they take on the Raptors. But the first game of the night is going to be the Clippers, who take on the Cleveland Cavaliers, where the Cavaliers are favored by -5.5. Any thoughts here?
Yeah, this one confused me a bit. Initially, I was going to lean towards Cleveland. It's not that big of a spread. But then I still went back to the Clippers But it is important to note here, the Clippers are going to be without a couple players who are resting for whatever reason, I guess to gear up for the Raptors. Reggie Jackson's going to not be playing, and Marcus Morris Sr. So a lot of offense off the table. But I'm still going to go with the Clippers here, Nor, because this is a team that just
Ooh.
finds a way to keep games close and get it done. And I've not been sold by Cleveland. I hate to say it, but it looks like they might have hit a wall here. They have not looked good. They are coming off of a bad loss against Chicago. That's a team that wasn't playing well. And Cleveland now is just 3-6 in their last 9 games post All-Star break. And you look at Cleveland, they are 11-8 against the spread as a home favorite, but just 3-7 against the spread in their last 10 games. Jared Allen still not there, has been a huge void for that team. And this is a matchup where I think the Clippers now can benefit playing inside. So even without their best scorer in Reggie Jackson and another great producer in Marcus Morris Sr., I still think the Clippers will find a way. The grittiness of this Clippers team will find a way to keep this one close. I'm getting 5.5 points here, so I will take the Clippers in a very close game.
Wow, look at you. I'm actually coming into this the entire opposite way. I think Steve Ballmer needs to be arrested because he chose this game to rest his guys, so they'll be ready for the Raptors. And it's wrong. Don't do that. You take our players, and you want to make sure that you have your entire roster ready to go against my guys so that our seeding is affected. Because to take on the Cavaliers tonight, who were in such close contact with the seeding arrangements, but anyway, Cavs still being favored at -5.5, despite missing Rondo, LeVert, Jared Allen, Wade, Markkanen. Just tells you how good this team has been. The media has really started on the Rookie of the Year talks, and obviously their Evan Mobley is a huge part of the discourse, and he will be the guy to watch for the Clippers tonight. So for the Cavs tonight, Clippers will also be missing their fair share of guys, as you mentioned, with Covington, Morris, Reggie Jackson, and that's a pretty big blow, as Marcus Morris and Reggie Jackson have been a huge part of their offense, along with Terrence Mann, who will still be out there tonight, but it'll be pretty much a one-man game. And Cavs are already a better team, and now with the Clippers missing their entire offense, it just doesn't look that good to me. They will always have their defense to rely on, but I think regardless, Cavs should dominate here. So I'm going to take the Cleveland, actually.
Yeah, the line actually moved up to 7, so I'm pissed I didn't know that before the show, because I could have used another 1.5 points, but I won't be cheap. We'll just go based on this 5.5 point line.
You know what? When you look back at it tomorrow, even if I lose, just remember it's 5.5, Luca. If you win by 6, that's still 1.
I'm banking on a Terrence Mann 40-point performance tonight. Let's go. Let's do it. All right, and one of the better matchups of the night, this is the one that I'm looking forward to. The MVP front runners going to be going head-to-head. It looks like neither Jokic or Embiid are going to be ducking one another, so we will get this all-star, superstar center matchup. Denver taking on Philly. Philly, the slight favorite here, -2.5.
Yeah, this is tough, and it will be such a fun matchup. Embiid and Jokic going head-to-head. They will always be great television, and with the spread being as low as it is, Vegas is predicting a pretty close game, so keep your eye on that. Aaron Gordon is questionable for the Nuggets, and his impact might be the deciding factor here. I think Sixers had some questions asked lately, while the Nuggets have dropped their last 2, creeping in on the play-in spot. So they both have a lot to lose here. But Philly did play last night, and Magic took them to OT. Only then could they escape Orlando by 2 points. And if history proves to be true, Embiid will have a rough game tonight. He doesn't have a good track record on back-to-backs. He was just having to skip them last year, and we've seen his performance in a playoff series. If you do take him to 7 games, and I'm just inclined to go with the team with more rest. Philly also has only covered the spread in 4 of their last 5 against the team with a winning road record, and Denver has covered in its previous 4 games as a road underdog. So I'm going to go with the Nuggets.
Wow. We're disagreeing again. First time ever on the show, I think. We've disagreed through the first 2 games. I'm going with Philly. Let's go. The parody begins on this show. Yeah, this is going to be an amazing matchup. I'm glad we're actually getting this matchup because the 2 actually haven't gone head-to-head since 2019. It's been a while, whether it was Jokic or Embiid missing the game. But this time we will see these 2 both do battle. And I think the biggest wild card in this one will be James Harden. Why? Because James Harden, he has a great track record against the Nuggets. When he was playing with the Rockets over on in the West, he averaged 28.1 points, 7.7 assists, and 5.9 rebounds in 29 games against the Nuggets. So he knows his team really well. Also, I didn't like the fact that Aaron Gordon is questionable. He probably will suit up, but how healthy is he? That's another question you got to answer. And I agree. I don't like the Sixers coming into this game on the second night of a back-to-back. But I think this is going to be a situation where Joel Embiid's going to look to showcase to everybody, I'm the MVP. Jokic won what could have been my award last year. I'm at home. I think he's going to be motivated. I think he's going to be ready to go for this one. I think his teammates are going to have his back and step up, wanting to win this game for him. And I think this game's going to go a long way to who ultimately wins this award. So I will give the slight edge to Embiid and Philly. I think they will get it done. I think the motivation will be there. The effort will be there. And because they got that scare last night, they'll say, okay, we got to start strong in this one because the Nuggets are a much better opponent than the Magic are. So I think it'll be a high-scoring, fun, entertaining game. But in the end, I got Philly -2.5 to win at home.
Wow, Luca, you're right. We are going to be, if anything, I'm going to be looking at the scores tonight to make sure that I win against you. Not even what the games are. It's just I got to beat Luca. But let's move on to another huge spread tonight. As you mentioned about, big spreads in the beginning of this show, we have the Blazers taking on the Hawks, where the Hawks are favored by 14 points here. You going to ride with it, Luca?
Yeah, I'm going to lay it. I'm going to lay it. I like Atlanta in this spot. The Blazers, they're battling so many injuries right now. They have so many key pieces out. They haven't looked good at all. And the Hawks, their offense is elite. Their defense, I think, is going to be able to contain the Blazers. And this Blazers team, they have not been good. The Blazers are 0-4 against the spread in their last 4 road games and 1-6 against the spread in their last 7 games overall. We see this team getting blasted by like 30 points, more times than not. It has not been a fun time to be a Blazers fan. This team just needs to put out a better product at this point between injuries, not having guys there, Dame still sidelined. It's going to be a tankathon season for them the rest of the way. They know that. So I think there's an opportunity for Atlanta, who are at home, who do play much better at home versus on the road, to get a much needed big time win here against a team that they should have an easy time with. So yeah, give me Atlanta -14.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it's going to come down to Josh Hart. Can Josh Hart do it again? Blazers were missing damn near everyone on Saturday when they took on the Wizards, but Josh Hart ended up dropping 44 points, along with 27 from Watford and 20 from Eubanks to win by 9 in that matchup. Hawks should have no problem winning this one, but this is quite a bit of a spread. But even with that, the Hawks are the team to take on big spreads. They're offensive juggernauts. They love throwing up points, and they will be without John Collins, but Blazers are missing, again, just pretty much everyone on that roster. The win against the Wizards was nice, but before that, they had like 3 or 4 straight 30-point blowouts against all these teams. And yeah, you're right. Give me the Hawks tonight. It is a big spread, but like I said, it's Trae Young. Trae Young can give you a 40-point night any given night. They do have the offense to go against this team, and Blazers also cannot defend to save their life, so good luck.
All right, so we both agree on the big spread there. How about this one? We got another big spread here. We got the Hornets -10 taking on OKC on the road.
Send Shea to Toronto, Sam Presti. Like, stop torturing him.
Free Shea.
Sorry?
Free Shea.
Yeah, please. Free Shea. # free Shea. We got to get this going all across social media. We have to create GoFundMe. I don't know, something. OKC has lost everyone in Dort, Giddey, Williams, Favors. So that literally just leaves our own Shea Gilgeous-Alexander on the court. And Hornets aren't exactly a sexy team right now either, but they did beat the Pelicans pretty big, who had on some momentum, right? We talked about the Pelicans for so long here, and then for them to do that, I was like, what? LaMelo Ball?
Yeah.
But Hornets have the league's top scoring offense, and the Thunder have the league's worst scoring offense. So take the team that shoots the ball through the net. I'm going to take Charlotte here because I think OKC is completely overmatched. So yeah, give me the Hornets. How about you?
Give me OKC. I'm going the other way with this one. Give me the dog in the spot at home. Yeah, +10. Give me OKC Thunder. I mean, for as many guys who are out for this Thunder team, there's still a good bet against the spread at home. 16-12-4 against the spread as a home underdog this season. And they've actually covered in 2 of their last 3 when getting 9 or more points at home. I like that stat. And also they are 28-16-2 against the spread following a loss. And just look at their last game, Noor. OKC, they were missing everybody, but they lost to only 7 to Memphis as Shea Gilgeous-Alexander balled out. And how about to Darius Bazley? Nobody heard of this guy coming in, with all due respect to Bazley, but they both combined for 60. I mean, they were killing it together, and they shot 42% from the field. And what I don't like about Charlotte is, yeah, they have an explosive offensive team. They can, hang with the best of them. They can beat you with the 3, the 2, it does not matter, but it's their defense that just scares me here. They rank
Yeah.
23rd in defensive rating, and I think that leaves the door open for OKC to have big nights from guys like Shea and even Baisley doing it again. So, yeah, this is going to be a good game. And the last thing I'll say is OKC should have a better chance to win points in the paint because Charlotte ranks 24th in points in the paint per game from center. So even though they got Harrow, they're still struggling with that category. So yeah, give me OKC to maybe play spoiler here. I won't go that far, but I do say they'll cover here.
Yeah, I want to fight with you on this, but you know what? Like, it could go either way, honestly, because it is a really big spread, and you never know. Shea could be that guy that just takes the team on his back and at least makes it so that they don't lose by more than 10 points. And that's why we need to have Shea on my roster, not Sam Presti's roster. But let's just move on to the other game of the night in the Western Conference, where it's going to be the Minnesota Timberwolves taking on the Spurs, with the Wolves favored at -3.5. Is that too low for you?
Yeah, I was quite surprised when I saw that. I was expecting it to be a little bit higher. San Antonio, first and foremost, shout out to Pop. He got the record. He got the win on Friday against the Jazz. I call that upset with Jelani. I had San Antonio beating Utah, but this time I don't think San Antonio will do it again. They are on an important homestand if they do want to get into the play-in. This is a huge game for them to win. But Minnesota, I think this is a game where they're going to prove that they are, in fact, a playoff team. And they did allow 118 points in a loss to Orlando. That was a very bad loss for them. But overall, their defense has been better. And also, the Wolves are 8-6 against the spread as favorites on the road. And the Spurs, this is the part that got me, they are only 6-12 against the spread when they are underdogs at home. So home court advantage, minus Friday, because it did work for them. Home court advantage as an underdog from an overall perspective has not gone well for San Antonio. So I think Minnesota will bring it here against another Western Conference opponent, and they will get the dub, covering -4.
I agree with you. I think Minnesota is clearly the better team here, and I'm surprised, honestly, that the spread is so low. They have a very nice big 3 in Ant, Cat, and Russell, and they should all be good to go tonight. Spurs have turned it around a little bit here and there. They have picked up wins, but fact of the matter is that they just don't have the depth to match the guys of Minnesota. The Minnesota Timberwolves have the better players, they have the better record, and they have the momentum going there tonight. So I think the spread should be much, much bigger, and you should jump on it now if you can. So give me Minnesota.
All right, in another 4-point spread, we got Chicago going on the road against Sacramento. Are you going to take the favorite here?
I am actually. I think DeMar should look at this spread as motivation. This is another one that doesn't make much sense to me since it's the Bulls. It shouldn't be barely a 2-possession spread here. But Kings do think that Sabonis should be back for this one, but they have dropped 4 in a row. And Chicago is in a position where every single game right now matters. So they will be fired up, and they should be ready to win and take everything on as they're ready for the playoffs right now. Bulls defense should be getting a lift with Caruso back in the lineup, and Kings don't play defense whatsoever. So shouldn't be a problem for the Bulls tonight. Vegas is actually doing Kings a disservice by making this spread so low so that they can't cover it. And again, hop on it right now before it gets even bigger. Give me the Bulls. What about you?
I've probably made Noor say wow like 3 times on the show, and I think it's going to come up again.
What the hell, Luca? Don't tell me the Kings.
I'm taking Sacramento. I'm going with off-the-board picks tonight. Yeah, give me the Kings. And why? Because Chicago has not been good lately. I know they got that bounce-back win against Cleveland, but they have not been the same Bulls team in the first half of the season. I think this is a tough spot for them on the road. Chicago's 1-6 against the spread in their last 7, and they're admittedly 18th in net rating over their last 10 games. And the Kings, for as many problems as they have, they've been keeping games close, 6-2 against the spread in their last 8 as a home underdog. And the Bulls are just 2-4-1 against the spread in their last 7 games as a road favorite. I think this is a trap game for the Chicago Bulls, which is why the spread is as low as it is. And I think the Kings will find a way to make this really close and might even have a chance to win. DeRozan's going to have to go off here. If he does, I think Chicago can take this. But I think Sacramento, if they do welcome back Sabonis, which it looks like they will, they should be able to keep this one very close. And it could go down to the wire with Sacramento having a chance to win. So give me the Kings.
I'm speechless. What about Caruso, Luca? You're not banking on Caruso?
It was one game, and I think a lot of people are
Yeah.
overreacting with Caruso. Listen, he makes such a big impact for that team. I'm not discrediting anything that he's done, but just overall, how the Bulls have looked in the second half, I don't trust them in the spot. I know Sacramento's a bad team, and the Bulls beat up on bad teams, but they have been a reliable bet at home. So I think this will be a trap game. We'll see, though. You can
Damn,
make
I
fun of me
think
after if I'm
someone's
wrong.
in I think someone's in Luca's ear from Vegas. I'm not sure what's going on, but that's also why he's at 54%. So maybe side with him. Maybe listen to him. Another game of the night where honestly, still right now, no idea what's going to happen. We'll see.
Yeah,
I'll figure out my pick while I start talking with it. But Luca, you go first. Milwaukee
yeah.
Bucks take on the Utah Jazz, with the Bucks are favored here, pretty much a money line spread, -1.5.
Yeah, this is going to be a great game. Salt Lake City is the scene. Milwaukee coming into this one, slight favorites. I'm going to go with Milwaukee, and here's why. I look at this matchup to be a big one, and that is Drew Holiday against Donovan Mitchell. We know Drew Holiday is one of the best guard defenders in all of the NBA. He's such a physical, brand on ball type of defender. And I think he's really going to make Donovan Mitchell work tonight. He's going to be all up in his grill, in his face, contesting shots. He's going to make life
Mm-hmm.
hard for Mitchell to get it going. And I think that's going to take a toll. And trying to limit Mitchell is basically how you try to stop this Utah Jazz team. They got other contributors. They obviously have Gobert in the middle. But if Drew Holiday can do a number on Mitchell, I think that's going to bode well for Milwaukee. And also, you look at Milwaukee, they're 6-1 straight up and 5-1-1 against the spread when coming off of a loss as a road favorite. That's a neat stat that I dug up. And I just think Milwaukee will show up here. After coming off of that disappointing loss, they're going to look to be motivated, play up to their competition. This is going to have a big game feel. Milwaukee will go into Utah and expect Giannis Antetokounmpo to have himself an MVP type performance as Milwaukee wins this game and covers the number.
Damn, would you look at that? We're going to agree on this one. Both are dominant teams in their region and usually strong regular season contenders, but they're just so wishy-washy this season. And I don't know what to think of this matchup, honestly. I think Bucks do have the better guy, but Jazz have a deeper roster. And the Jazz have dropped more in their last couple weeks than the Bucks have. And the Bucks' one loss came against the Splash Brothers. So I guess you can't be
Yeah.
too mad at that. This is super tough, and it really could go either way depending on how each team is feeling or like how their sleep was or whatever. But I think it's a safe bet to ride with the best player on the floor, which is going to be Giannis. And you're right. I think Drew Holiday has been a great addition for them to begin with. And his impact, not just offensively, but defensively against other guards is massive. It's a huge contributor to that Bucks championship pedigree. And that is what allows Giannis to do Giannis things. So as long as Drew's there, as long as Middleton's there as well, just to keep that tension off of the other guys, I'm still waiting for Brook Lopez to be back in the lineup because he was such an underrated part of that Bucks team. He did so many little things here and there. As a Raptor fan, that's the guy I did not want to see on the court. You know, there's so many guys like that on each team, but for me, it was always Brook Lopez for the Bucks. So I think once he's back there, they will look like themselves once again. But just for this one tonight, it's a close spread. It's a one possession game. It's a money line thing. And I feel very confident in Giannis being the guy that will take the win here tonight. So yeah, give me the Bucks as well.
All right, we agree on that one. Next game, we got Washington taking on Golden State, who will see the return of Draymond Green in this one, which is why the spread is pretty massive, 12.5 at home.
Oh, he's back for this one? I thought he was back really soon. Never
Yeah, no,
mind.
he's expected to play. He's expected to play tonight. Yeah, the trio's going to be back first time in what is it, 1,000 days? I want to say, like in a very long time.
Yeah. That is insane. Honestly, that I've already had the Warriors picking this one. I think the spread should be like -20 if he's playing for this. But yeah, I've been waiting for Draymond to come back. I also have been waiting for Clay to have a big game, and he did just that against the Bucks in their last matchup by dropping 38 points. And yeah, if they're also expecting Draymond back, they must be in good spirits. They must want to get the win. Obviously, having him back in the lineup might mean some level of minutes restriction as well as some rust perhaps, but it is Draymond. You're not really relying on him to go and give you scores or points. You're just making him be there to be that defensive anchor and that facilitator. So having him there is going to be massive. Wizards are just a bad defensive team anyway, where opponents are averaging 51.5 from the field in their last 3 outings. They're not good at defending the 3, and that's the worst thing you can do against the Splash Brothers and against the Warriors. The Warriors are not only an offensive machine, but they also are they're also the league. So sorry, they're also top the league in defensive efficiency as well. And now that you're going to have Draymond back in the lineup, that's only going to stagger. That's only going to get better. Other teams will only get easier to guard, and your offense, your defense, everything on the floor will only flow so much easier. Steph also had a night off on the court the other night against the Bucks with just 8 points when Clay went for 38. So I think tonight will be a big night for Steph, where he wants to probably have a night now, and it just doesn't look good for the Wizards. You don't want to be the Wizards tonight. Sorry, Kuzma. Sorry, Pope. It's going to be a Warriors show. So give me the Warriors. What about you?
Yeah, and it's crazy how Steph had an off night and they're still able to beat the defending champ. So what are they going to do to the Wizards in this game? I agree. I think it's going to be a bad night for the Wizards. The Warriors are going to welcome back Green. Crowd's going to be rocking. That big 3 is going to be out there doing their thing. And we're going to see how big of an impact Draymond Green is for this team. He does so many good things defensively, offensively, floor spacing, facilitating, etc. And yeah, you named it before. This Wizards team, they are bad defensively. They're allowing teams to score 121.3 points per game. The Warriors are an explosive team. They like to score the basketball, so expect a big night from the Splash Brothers. Expect Draymond Green to have a nice return. And the Warriors are 18-14-2 against the spread this season when they're a home favorite, and they're 4-0 against the spread in their last 4 games. And ultimately, that's why I'm taking the Warriors here. They're coming in hot. They welcome back Green. It's good vibes all around. I think the Warriors will easily win this game by double digits, so I will take them here minus 12.5.
We've got some great matchups tonight, some reunions, some showdowns, some face-offs, and now we're going to end the night with the Raptors taking on the Lakers as minus 4.5 favorites on the road here in LeBron's house. Luca, take the floor.
Yeah, my first question is going to be to you. Are you going to stay up and watch this game? The late games return, the West Coast games.
Oh, I know. Honestly, for this win, I'm going to have to. Why not? You got to.
Yeah. There you go. I think you kind of gave away your pick there too with that answer. I agree. I think it will be a Raptors win tonight, and I think they're going to look really good against the Lakers. This Lakers team, absolute mess. We've ripped them a ton on the show. We don't even know if LeBron's going to be ready to go for this one, and he needs to play like 50-point LeBron if the Lakers do want to beat the Raptors. This Lakers team is bad right now. You don't want to touch them against the spread, money line, whatever the case is. They're coming off of a blowout loss against the Suns. And this is a game that should be dominated by the Raptors. They picked up 3 straight solid wins in a row that we talked about at the beginning of the show. Fred VanVleet should be back in the lineup, and the Raptors are number 24 in offense and number 17 with defense. They're number 17 in defense and 14th in offense. And the Lakers have not been a good defensive team all season long. Now, the one thing for the Lakers that is interesting is they're actually 5-3 against the spread in the second hit of a back-to-back. So if you are leaning towards the Lakers in any way, shape, or form, that's the stat that's going to be the catalyst of that. But ultimately, it's going to take a LeBron 50-point night or a truly special night from LeBron for the Lakers to pull this one off, in my opinion. And if he doesn't play, it's just going to be a terrible night for the Lakers. So, yeah, hopefully it's not one of those letdown spots for the Raptors that we talked about at the beginning of the show where they played down to their competition. Yeah. So, yeah, I'm going to go with the Raptors here -4 for better or for worse.
I think I'm not as worried about that here because the Raptors can still play like the Raptors. They can be good. They can be bad. They'll do whatever they need to do. But the storyline will always just be the Lakers suck. The Lakers have not been themselves. The Lakers will always be Lakers. And as long as the Lakers are Lakering, the Raptors can do whatever they want and they will get the win. And that's, I think, what will happen tonight. The storyline will be the Lakers are just not the team that we had thought they were going to be. They had not been that team this entire season. And like you mentioned it, they're coming off a back-to-back loss against the Suns where it was just Booker on the floor and he wiped the floor with them. And now they will take on the Raptors. LeBron has not been himself. He's been passing up late last-minute shots, giving it to somebody else, and not being that leader, that guy that they need him to be, especially given the context of how now things are going so fast and you need to be ready for the playoffs and the play-in position. So I don't know how it's going to fare for the Lakers, what they're planning on doing with this roster, if they want to mash things up, if LeBron is going to be playing at all the next couple of games, because he's been questionable every now and then. AD said that if he was back and he was playing against the Suns, he would be the deciding factor and they would win. I'm like, AD, chill. Let's relax for a second. Your team is embarrassing. You do not need to go out there and open your mouth some more. But yeah, on the other side, it's the Raptors too. The Raptors have been absolutely, you mentioned it, they've been great. They've won 3 in a row. They took the wins over Spurs, Nuggets, and the Suns, who the Lakers could not beat. And they beat the Suns, as you mentioned it, in their own home. And they beat them. They were one of the ones in 7 games that they had been beaten at their own house that you mentioned. So yeah, it looks good for the Raptors. They have been missing Fred and OG, but I think even despite that, I think they should be able to take this because Siakam goes off against the Lakers. Everyone puts on their brightest goggles and wants to have a big night. And I think also Gary Trent should be strapping up his bootlaces to really go off. I don't know why, for some reason, I think this is going to be a Gary Trent night. He has been a little bit on and off here and there. He was giving us such great production. And then he went cold for a little bit, but then the last game he went absolutely off. But I think tonight, given the fact that it's the Lakers, he's going to want all the attention on him. And he also said it himself. He's not a shooter. He's a scorer. And I think tonight will be a scoring night for him. So give me the Raptors. I'm going to be a homer.
Yeah, I can't believe we forgot to mention that. That's good you brought up Gary Trent Jr. He had 42 on Friday, 42 and 8. So yeah, we will show Gary Trent Jr. some respect to close out the show. I mean, if the Raptors somehow blow this tonight, the NBA makes no sense. The Lakers, surprise the spread isn't even a little bit bigger. Maybe that's just Vegas thinking that if LeBron does suit up, he does own the Raptors, which is true. But you look at how the Raptors have fared against LeBron with the Lakers, it's been the other way around. The Raptors have had a lot of success against this team. So yeah, if the Raptors don't pull this one out, I really don't know what to say at that point.
If the Raptors don't do it, Luca, I'm quitting. Like, I have nothing else to do at that point. Like, I can't bet on my team that's going to win. I don't know what's happening with the Lakers who end up winning. I'm not sure what happens at that point. But I think I can count on the Raptors to not see LeBronto today. It's going to be completely reverse, and it's going to be LeBron who sees just terror in his eyes. And I'm going to be so happy just eating my popcorn. And so are you.
All right, we'll go with that narrative, and we'll see what happens tonight with the Raptors going to LA. One of several matchups tonight in the NBA on this fine Monday. But that will conclude another great edition of the show. 3-point lines here on the parlay. You can follow us all over social media. You can download this podcast wherever you get your favorite podcasts, where Noor, Zainab, and myself, Luca Rosano, come to you live every single day, Monday through Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern, giving you our favorite picks against the spread. Thank you so much for watching and listening, and we'll catch you all again tomorrow.